of my concerns with the metaverse and VR is if one of the big tech companies own the metaverse, and say you're sending your children into the metaverse, straight away they've got all your children's details. They know exactly what they're learning at school. They may even have an influence on what your children are being taught at school, which, coming from a private company that they're worth like billions, is that's like a bit of a concern. How will the metaverse be set up? How will it be sort of controlled? Will it be decentralized? Will it be controlled by a large corporation, or will it be government controlled?
Yeah,
These are
that's a fear that's happening, as Meta renamed themselves to Meta. And I think that if you look at historically, anytime the government has been in control of something, it's been kind of bad. But then when they allow companies to take it over, it's actually worse. Like that's what we've seen in this country with and where other countries still have healthcare that's controlled by the government. It's a mess, but at least it's free. And here it's like you can barely even get the care you have unless you have tons of money. And so that's the same question. But we always have this way we look ahead and think, oh gosh, what if this happens? And I try to ask, where are we now? Like, are we not already kind of in this land where companies are controlling our behaviors? I talk about something and suddenly my phone is showing me ads for it to go buy it. It's like, are we right now living in this perfect society where we're not being in complete control of companies? It wasn't from a young age that I had to, recite these words in school saying that I would always stand on one side of something, like all these things. I'm looking back and I'm like, maybe I've been programmed my whole life already. Is this the sudden shift that we're so afraid of? It's hard to look in the mirror and ask, where are we? But yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom. There is a lot of good, but I also fear that if any single company owns it, it'll be bad. But if we just leave it wild, like the Wild West, like the internet, then you have everything out there. So it's like, how do you instill control in anything in a fair way that keeps everyone feeling safe? And is it even possible? Because we haven't proven as a society really that it is possible yet. How can the internet be any different?
I guess that's what the problem is with Twitter at the moment is you can't leave it to be a wild west because obviously you've seen some of the horrible stuff that gets put on there. But at the same time, where do you draw the line? Because there needs to be a line because obviously you don't want the stuff that's been put on there. But when you start putting a line out there, what does it mean? It means people have control over changing where the line is. And that's what's been happening. Obviously, Elon's brought the line back down, but there's still a line and people don't know when they're going to cross it. And then there's a massive aspect of control. And yeah, if we are going to go into a metaverse world, which is, even if parts of it, like the internet, are kind of parts of it are controlled by different corporations. You've got YouTube controlled by Google, Twitter now controlled by Elon, Facebook, or the new Meta coming up by Mark Zuckerberg. You've got all these different people who have different lines that you can't cross or you can cross, or you can get banned off this, you can get banned off that. You don't want to get it to a point where you might get banned. You might put something bad on your Facebook page. That means you can't go to your virtual school the next day. So then that person's having a problem with their education because they've been banned for something they've said elsewhere. So it's so multi-complex. Way too complex for me to have an answer for anyway.
That's the problem with most issues in life. They're not as black and white as we're taught when we're children. They are. And when you start to really peel back the layers and look at the intensity of even something that seems like a simple issue, it's very, very complex. And how do we as a society work towards a simple and helpful solution that works for everyone if maybe that doesn't exist?